Kai was a lonely gigachad who was forgotten by humanity when demons took over his world. However, when he rescued an overpowered angel from prison, she fell in love with him and started helping him to save the world, so they could finally smash. Everything started when Kai saw a hot chick named Rinny tied up in chains. Since she had wings, he assumed she was an angel, but he changed his mind because angels weren't meant to be as bouncy as that. When the poor girl sensed him and begged for help, he began to wonder why a being like that needed him, and he got pissed because humans had been at war with other races. About 3 decades ago, humans had fought and won a war against 4 other races. Since then, the heroes of those races had been sealed away in enchanted tombs to prevent another disaster, and humans lived in peace. One afternoon before meeting Rinny, Kai met Jean, his hot collie, and took her out on a date because she was leaving town soon. Everything went smoothly, and they had fun together. But at some point, Jean curiously asked Kai what their future would look like. She was already hinting at starting a family with him in the future. But before she could say it, reality glitched, and a singularity sucked everything that existed. Suddenly, Kai found himself standing in a wasteland, and it took him a moment to realize he was still in the same city he'd been in moments ago, only that it was in ruins. As he scrambled to figure out what was going on, a demon pulled up behind him and tried roasting him with enchanted flames. But Kai somehow managed to dodge and counter with a nasty attack that unalived the demon at the spot. Shortly after, another demon pulled up on him, and was shocked that he'd taken out the other guy. He realized that Kai was armed and dangerous, so he wanted to take him out fast. But before he could strike, Saki and Ash, Kai's old colleagues, showed up and distracted him with a stun grenade. Then they escaped with Kai, and Kai noticed that neither of them remembered who he was. Even after he mentioned their military unit, Saki told him that no such thing existed and added that she was part of the human rebel army instead. Shocked, he learned that humanity lost the war against the other races about 3 decades ago and is now hanging by a thread as other races have taken over the cities. Soon, they arrived at an underground city, which served as a haven for humans, and Saki explained that they staged military operations from there to fight back against the other races. Hearing this, Kai got curious and asked why humans lost the war, so Saki explained that the demons were unstoppable when they attacked in groups. He then asked about Prophet Sid, the hero who had won them the war, as he remembered, and was surprised that his comrades didn't know who that was. Soon Jean arrived, and it turned out that she was the commander of the resistance army in the country, though she was pretending to be a boy. Kai was relieved when he saw her, but his heart was shattered into a million pieces when she said she didn't know who he was. He then tried to gain her attention by telling her about all the good times they'd spent together, but to no avail. When he asked why she was pretending to be a guy, Ash intervened and prevented Kai from getting locked up. That night, he spent the whole time checking the history books, and he noticed that there were no records of him or Sid anywhere. Since Sid didn't exist, and humans never won the Great War, he felt that the graveyards built to contain any threat to humanity wouldn't exist, but he was shocked to find that they existed in the history books. So the next day, he borrowed a military vehicle and drove all the way down to the site to see things for himself. When he got there, he entered the tomb and found Prophet Sid's weapon shining in the dark. Curious, he touched it, and a voice told him that he was chosen as the wielder of the weapon, code holder. As Kai mentioned that name, he was transferred to an astral plane, and that was how he met the hottie, who was tied up in chains. Seeing her made Kai almost entertain the thought of getting freaky with her, but when he confirmed that she wasn't a demon, he took out his big black weapon and tried to destroy the chains. To his shock, the chains didn't come off after he struck them, and they remained intact even after he shot a magical blast at them. Frustrated, he recalled the legendary sword from earlier and wondered if it would be of any help. But when he mistakenly blurted out the sword's name, his weapon morphed into the legendary sword, and he used it to cut off Rinny's chains. As the chains came off, he caught Rinny to prevent her from falling to the ground. But when she woke up and saw his face, she jolted and challenged him to a fight, thinking that the demon hero, Vanessa, had sent him to eliminate her. Though Kai meant no harm, he was forced to defend himself from Rinny's attack, but when he saw that he was bound to die if he didn't fight, his sword compelled him to block an attack. Rinny was completely shocked when she saw that Kai could negate her magic, and it got her wondering if he was a demon or something. But Kai argued that he was just a human, and opted to show her his 6-incher to prove that he wasn't lying. Before that could happen, Rinny believed him because she knew it would fit, and she went on to thank him for saving her. She also apologized to Kai for attacking him, but Kai brushed it off as no big deal, since he was only interested in knowing her race. First, Rinny confirmed that she wasn't a demon, and she begged Kai not to ask about her race again, because deep down, she felt insecure about it. Kai agreed to her request and went on to introduce himself to her. But when he asked where they were, she told him she had no idea, because the last thing she remembered was being in a battle with Vanessa. Hearing this shocked Kai, because fighting with someone like Vanessa meant that Rinny was plenty strong, and when he asked, Rinny boasted about taking out a fleet of demons on her own. She then asked how he could cancel her magic, but before Kai could answer, a being named Last Rider appeared from a portal and identified Rinny as an anomaly. While Rider attacked, Kai noticed she was overpowered, so he took Rinny and made a run for on the way. Rider captured Rinny, and Kai could only watch as Rinny cried out in pain. When he had had enough of it, he attacked the being, who grew shocked that he had the forbidden sword, and at the same time, the sword triggered a portal that sent Kai and Rinny back to their reality. There, Rinny clung to Kai because she was scared of getting wiped from existence, and she thanked him for saving her again, because deep down, no one had ever cared for her. Before then, the celestial race rejected her, and the demons called her an abomination, which was why she got into a fight with Vanessa. Hearing this, Kai sympathized with her and told her he understood her pain because he was living in a world where no one remembered him. He revealed that the history he remembered was the one where humans won the Great War and hated that demons were occupying human cities. Rinny was shocked after she heard this because, at the time she fought against Vanessa, humans were already winning the war. This stunned Kai because it meant Rinny was from the same reality as him, but it hurt when she mentioned that she didn't know who Sid was. Regardless, he told her they were alike, and Rinny got excited because she had finally found someone who understood her. Outside, Rinny fell to the ground because she was weak from all that fighting, so Kai helped her up, offering to take her back to his city. At first, Rinny felt skeptical about it since she didn't fully trust humans, but after Kai told her to trust him, she agreed and looked forward to seeing what life among humans would be like. Later that evening, Kai lay in bed, exhausted from the long day's chaos. He was also tired because he had to show her the basics of human civilization. Though he was grateful she could hide her wings and not attract too much attention. Rinny was in the bathroom when Kai was thinking about checking out his weapon, but not until Rinny showed up, yelling that the water wouldn't stop rushing. As Kai accidentally saw Rinny's plots, all the blood left his brain, but he turned away to prevent clapping her under his sheets.
Yeah, boy.
After holding it in, Rinny jumped into bed and got jealous of humans because they got to sleep on fluffy surfaces like that, whereas in her case, she usually slept on hard rock. However, she noted that the surface world was in ruins, and Kai hated that demons occupied it. He quickly realized that this reality was the opposite of the previous one, and he hoped there was a way he could go back. Around midnight, Rinny jumped on Kai and warned him that demons were already close by. Just like that, the city was placed on red alert, and civilians ran for their lives to avoid biting the dust. Rinny joined Kai to check the situation outside, and she became scared when she saw all the terror in the city. But Kai told her he had to dip because he believed he was the only one who could play Sid's role in this world. In the meantime, Ash and Saki's unit experienced difficulties facing off against a demon, not until Kai showed up and prevented one from tearing Saki apart. She was shocked because he could take a demon down in one strike, but when he was cornered, Rinny used her powers to protect him. After that, Ash and Saki asked how Kai could fight so well, so he told them he came from a world where humans had won the war against the other races. Hearing this, Saki told him to come to their military base, but when he got there, the military officers didn't take him seriously because they thought he was lying about being from another world. Jean, on the other hand, got curious about him and asked what kind of relationship they had in his world. But since Kai couldn't exactly say they used to smash, he revealed her father's and grandfather's names, and it caused Jean to end the meeting abruptly. Later that night, one high-ranking soldier, Fallon, summoned Kai and Rinny to have a word with Jean. Getting there, Kai saw Jean's feminine side, and was spot on that he knew she was a woman all along. However, Jean told him she didn't believe him entirely, and that she only summoned him because she'd like to use his knowledge and skills against the demons. When Kai asked what she was up to, she revealed that she planned to strike the demons and take their city back, even though victory seemed impossible. Hearing this, Kai offered to lend a hand, insisting that they could only be successful if he and Rinny fought Vanessa themselves. Shocked, Fallon asked why he would want to risk his life, so he told her he wouldn't be able to face his comrades if he abandoned this world and returned to his reality. He then proposed a good plan to attack the demons, and as it became clear, Jean began seeing a possibility of defeating the demons and their leader. A few days later, Kai joined Jean and her men on a stealth mission to take back their country from demons. On the way, Suki got nervous because she was on the assault team, so Rini gave her a gentle pat on the head and made her feel better. She assured Suki that she was strong and was only capable of losing to someone like Vanessa, though she mentioned that she would self-destruct if she couldn't defeat her. Concerned, Saki told her not to do it, while Ash mentioned that he was worried about the whole mission. He feared they would be attacked on the way since they were moving in large groups, but Kai assured him that nothing like that would happen since demons were sensitive to magic, and humans didn't possess such. As time went on, all the soldiers rent his vows at a spot, and Jean gave them a daring speech that raised their morale to fight. At her command, the soldiers charged, and they were shocked to see a bunch of demons flying outside Vanessa's building. As a demon prepared to strike, Kai charged into the front lines and used his weapon to blow it to bits. But when more demons were showing up from a portal, Rini used her magic to power up his weapon, and he took them out with one deadly shot, leaving everyone speechless. When asked, he claimed it was a bullet from his world, when in reality, he only said that to prevent them from finding out about Rini's magical abilities. Before long, Rini sensed enemy presence in the building, so she told Jean, who then assigned her men to mount strategic spots and prevent any demon from escaping. As they all charged into the building, Fallon got curious and asked Kai about the shot he took earlier. Apparently, she found it weird that he hadn't pulled the trigger and thought that Rini had something to do with the shot. Kai remained quiet the whole time and realized a bit too late that a demon was being summoned behind his back. When the demon attacked, Fallon volunteered to stop it herself and urged everyone to go on without her. On getting to the next room, Rini detected strong magic, and it hit Jean before she could warn her. Surprisingly, Jean came out unharmed because she was wearing an elven garment underneath her armor, and it was known to resist magic. She then opted to face the demon before her and urged Kai and Rini to proceed till they found Vanessa. Getting upstairs, Kai gave Ash and Seki enchanted armbands, which would help cloak their presence in case of any wandering demons. Even after they wore them, Seki got terrified when a demon pulled up, and she almost blew their cover when she reached for her gun, but Rini told her to stay quiet. As the demon walked away, they managed to enter the building's control room, where Ash and Saki promised to turn off the lights in case Kai's fight against Vanessa got compromised. Afterward, Kai left the control room with Rini, and they were shocked when the building's motion sensors went off. They entered another room, hoping to reach Vanessa as fast as possible, but they were shocked when they saw a pack of demons waiting for them. One of them promised to enjoy Kai as a healthy breakfast, but before Kai could make him eat those words, Rini flew him to the other side, insisting that he went on without her. She sealed the room with ice before Kai could say anything and promised that she would catch up with him in no time. As he left, the demons noticed something off about Rini because she was partly a demon, angel, elf, and several other races, and they started asking if 5 dudes from different tribes clapped her mother. When Rini heard this, she lost it and activated her powers to teach them a lesson. All the while, Kai made it to the top floor and was shocked because he saw that Vanessa was hot and he knew he would lose gallons if he made the wrong move. Vanessa saw him and got a little excited because he was tall and fit, and she figured he would fit, so she told him to take everything off. Meanwhile, Jean faced a tough demon on a lower floor and managed to keep up with him because of her elven garment. When she spotted an opening, she took advantage of it by using an enchanted arrow to take him out. However, she became a bit weak because the previous attack took a toll on her body, and the dying demon noted that her life force would be drained away if she kept using enchanted weapons. Jean told him she was up for it and finished the job by stabbing the demon's face. Before she knew it, a 3-headed demon charged at her from a higher floor, but Fallon showed up in a flash and kicked the demon away. Jean was relieved to see that Fallon made it, but she realized that she needed to continue the fight and make sure to buy enough time for Kai to do his thing. Back on the top floor, Kai told Vanessa that he would not strip because he wasn't a soy boy that fell for cheap OnlyFans models. Though pissed, Vanessa maintained her composure and became thrilled because most men fall whenever she crossed her legs. She then asked Kai if he was the commander who used an elven garment, and he declined, insisting that he was from a world where she was defeated. Curious, Vanessa asked to know what race defeated her in that world, and when Kai mentioned that it was a human, she laughed because she had always seen humans as weaklings. But when she heard the name Sid, she became shocked and started murmuring something about reincarnation, and it made Kai ask what she knew. However, she brushed him off, thinking he wouldn't be a threat, and proceeded to finish him off with one strike. To her shock, Kai countered and went head-to-head with her without breaking a sweat, but he started sweating bullets when Vanessa attempted a long-range strike on him. After the blast, Vanessa was pretty convinced that Kai was dust, but when she saw that Kai survived, she wondered how he did it and why his weapon was special. Soon, Rinny showed up a bit injured from her previous fight and offered to fight in Kai's place. But before she could strike, a portal opened, and Ryder identified Vanessa as an abnormality because she had mentioned Sid's name. She then tried to erase Vanessa from existence, but Vanessa countered with a spell that destroyed a great part of Ryder's body. As a result, Ryder was forced to retreat and Rinny became scared, because although she had fought Vanessa before, this version might have escaped an asylum. When Vanessa recovered from Rinny's attack, she assumed her true demon form and was ready to unalive Kai and Rinny at once. All of a sudden, Rinny charged at Vanessa and cast an enchanted prison around both of them, begging Kai to escape while he could. Kai hesitated because he didn't want to leave her behind. But before he knew it, Vanessa broke free from Rinny's barrier and tossed her to the ground like garbage. Triggered, Kai charged at Vanessa, but he ended up getting blasted into a wall by Vanessa's magic. Rinny was shocked when she saw that Kai was not responsive anymore, so she lost it and assumed her true form, promising to beat Vanessa to a pulp. Vanessa was a bit thrilled by Rinny's form because she looked like all 5 races mixed in one, and she wasn't bothered about eating punches from the mutant. At some point, she evened out Rinny's strength and laughed at her for not using her powers to save Kai from the beginning. She told Rinny that Kai would still have been alive if she had assumed her true form, and quickly realized that Rinny felt insecure about herself, and didn't transform because she didn't want Kai to see her as a monster. Hearing this pushed Rinny to tears, especially because Kai was very dead, so she held Vanessa one last time and triggered a self-destruct spell. As the curse flowed out of her body, it entered Vanessa and caused her to die slowly. But before Vanessa could bite the dust, she triggered a hex she had placed in the building ahead of time and countered Rinny's spell. Shocked, Rinny fell to her knees, devastated that she couldn't live with herself now that Kai was dead. She shed tears, feeling sorry for not saving him on time, and she didn't react when Vanessa tried to take her out with a nasty fire attack. After the smoke cleared, Vanessa was shocked when she saw Rinny in Kai's arms. Like a Giga-Chad, Kai smiled and told Rinny to stop crying because he was grateful she had bought him enough time to recover. Rinny thought she was dreaming because she was already sure Kai was dead, so she hugged him tight and made sure he was real. Vanessa, on the other hand, questioned how he managed to survive her strike because no human had ever survived her explosive magic at close range. But Kai remained quiet, knowing that the only reason he was still breathing was because of his sword. He then challenged Vanessa to another fight, but she felt insulted and summoned a gust of wind that almost set Kai off balance, while he blocked. Vanessa told him that humans were useless, and that she only acknowledged heroes from the other races as true warriors, unlike humans, who possessed no strength. Hearing this, Kai replied that he had no desire to become humanity's hero, only that he wanted to show her humanity's fighting spirit. Laughing, Vanessa told him the only spirit he had was the one that would leave his body when he died, and she went on to summon a large rock to smash his head. As the rock came crashing down, Kai destroyed it in a single strike using his weapon, which then caused Vanessa to summon multiple flames to roast him. But before that could happen, Kai gave the signal to Ash, who turned off all the lights in the building. In the darkness, Vanessa saw Kai's glowing sword and attacked, thinking he was the one. But she was taken aback when the smoke cleared and she realized she was attacking Rinny instead. As for Kai, he pulled up behind Vanessa, so Rinny threw him the legendary sword, and he used it to defeat Vanessa once and for all. Vanessa didn't hesitate to acknowledge defeat, though she hated that she was already fading from existence. While that happened, she recalled the name Sid and started saying something about world reincarnation, which caught Kai's attention. When Kai asked her what she knew, she told him Sid knew world reincarnation was possible, and that someone had caused the phenomenon to occur. She believed that the culprit must be one of the other 3 heroes, and told Kai that Sid had entrusted the legendary sword to her to keep it safe. She also told Kai that the sword was the only key to correcting the world, but Kai found this hard to believe because the history books taught him that Vanessa and Sid were enemies. Though Vanessa admitted that she hadn't seen Sid eye to eye, she revealed that there were past events that Kai didn't know about. She then spoke of a forbidden code hidden somewhere in their reality, and advised Kai to prepare for tougher battles ahead. Before she vanished completely, she told Kai that if they met again, she'd face him as a succubus and up her game so he'd cream himself and fall for her. After that, Kai fell to the ground, weak from all the magic he had used, but he was grateful that the battle was over. Within seconds, word spread to the other soldiers that Kai had won the fight, and everyone became happy because it meant they had their city back. The next morning, Jean showed up and thanked Kai and Rinny for helping to defeat Vanessa, especially because her people could then rebuild their city back to the way it was. She then mentioned she wouldn't be part of the reconstruction process because she had her eyes set on something else. So Rinny curiously asked if she was going to retire or something. Jean replied that she would be setting sail beyond her country to the other nations that had been conquered by the other races. She wanted to command her forces and join the other nations to win and end the Great War, and because of that, she asked Kai and Rinny for help. Kai was amazed while she spoke because she was more mature and ambitious than the other versions of herself from his reality. However, he agreed to join her cause and support her to the end as long as he was rewarded with interracial kitties to clap. Later on, while Kai talked about ending the war and finding the culprit behind the world's reincarnation, Rinny listened to him and was shocked when she saw a reflection of Sid in him. A few days later, Rinny was running for her life in the astral plane, and when she fell, an unidentified man tried to help her escape. However, she woke up and realized that it had just been another dream, since she was already on a trip to the Io Federation, which was the next country. During the trip, Kai sat quietly and flashed back to what happened after the battle with Vanessa. Back then, Rinny noticed the presence of demons and alerted him immediately, so he ran off with her to trace it. Somehow, the building they were in got engulfed in a barrier, and that was when Maril, Vanessa's sister, showed up. Seeing Kai, she realized he was the one who defeated her sister and decided to shoot a flame blast at him. Though Kai blocked the attack with his weapon, he didn't notice when Maril sped to his back and tried to strike him. But thanks to Rinny, he got to live another day. Rinny threw Maril away like trash and told her to keep her hands off Kai since she wasn't sharing. Hearing this, Maril laughed since Rinny was only gatekeeping Kai because of his sausage. So she tried to win Kai over by telling him she liked it girthy and hard. Unfazed, Kai told her he had already dealt with her sister, but deep down, he knew he was cooked if she took him seriously because she was hotter than Megan Fox. On the other hand, Maril found it hard to believe that some lowly human had defeated her sister, but from her reaction, Kai was forced to ask if she was there to take revenge on him. To his shock, Maril said she had no interest in seeking revenge, especially because she was now the only one in charge of her race. She then proposed a deal with Kai, offering not to attack the royal capital at all. She insisted that her people would remain in the other parts of the country, under the condition that the humans fought the 3 other races instead. Kai saw through her end goal, but accepted the deal anyway because he was positive about winning the war. Maril then promised to cheer for him, and since she liked him, she promised to reward him with a kiss if he made it back alive. Unmoved, Kai told her he wasn't interested in that, so she offered to let him smash instead, but he told her he'd rather smash an orc. After she took the L, she prepared to leave and told him to be careful of Alfreya, the Lord of Heaven, because he had been acting strangely lately. Back in the present, Rinny sensed a weird presence up ahead, and she informed her crew immediately. Turns out it was a dragon, and Ash found it weird that something like that was attacking them, since they were still in demon territory. Without wasting time, some men mounted the machine guns on their armored tanks, but the bullets weren't enough to stop the dragon. 2 vehicles from the convoy took a hit, and because of that, Kai and Rinny had to face the dragon to minimize further damage. After they took down the dragon, Jean ordered her men to camp at a spot for the night so the injured could recover. As Kai prepared to rest, he was shocked to find that he was in the same tent as Rinny, and even more shocked when Jean joined them. Since he was the only guy in the room, Fallon called him out and told him to guard Jean throughout the night and not get any funny ideas. Kai accepted her request, but when he entered the tent, he realized that something was going to get longer and harder than his big black gun. When it was time for everyone to sleep, Jean told him to be careful with her because she used to move a lot when she was in bed. But around midnight, he found himself stuck between Rinny and Jean, and the only thought on his mind was how he'd avoid paying child support. The following day, his eyes turned black because he didn't get any sleep, but he didn't care since he was more focused on getting to Ao. Luckily for him, his unit arrived there in no time, and the civilians gave them a warm welcome because they had helped defeat Vanessa. Up ahead, Ao's military advisor, Zeph, welcomed Jean, and his soldiers saluted her men for winning against the demons. After that, Jean cut to the chase and asked for an audience with Ao's military commander, Dant. So Zeph led the way to their military base. On the way, he explained that Dant was a narcissistic leader who often saw himself as an emperor and begged Jean to put up with his nonsense. At Dant's door, his hot assistant, Kobairi, led them in, and Rinny got a weird feeling about her. though she stayed quiet about it. When Jean entered the office and introduced herself, Dante took offense, claiming she had taken too long to see him. Jean replied that she encountered a dragon on the way, but Dante brushed her off and asked why she came. Shocked, Jean tried to understand the question, but Dante went on to accuse her of wanting to take over his country since she was successful in defeating the demons on her end. To this, Jean replied that she only showed up because his country requested her help with the war, but Dante claimed it was his useless subordinate who made that call. Though he hated that she was there, he agreed to work with her because he didn't want to lose his lands to the celestial race. Before the meeting ended, Jean proposed a deal that he would let his people decide who would take credit for winning against their enemies. Because others were in the room, Dante was forced to agree, and after that, Jean held a strategic meeting concerning how they'd attack the Celestials. Since no one knew where the hero of the Celestials was, Jean offered to lead the search, and it shocked the soldiers from Io because a high commander would never volunteer to do such a thing, though they liked her for it. The following day, Jean led her men out for the search while Dante stayed back and wondered why she would risk her life like that. He opened up to Kobari about it, but she glazed his ego and told him a true commander was supposed to lead from the rear. That evening, Jean returned from her search, and although she didn't find everything she was looking for, she proceeded to draw a map that would help in her mission the next day. During the meeting, the soldiers were surprised by how smart she was, and it pissed Dan off that his men were influenced by her courage. In anger, he received unverified intel from Kobari and decided to act on it so that his men would see him as someone worthy of respect. That night, he summoned Zeph and told him to prepare for an expedition, but warned him against telling Jean about it. So the next morning, when Jean's team woke up and noticed Dante's absence, Rinny sensed something was up and revealed she suspected that Kobari wasn't human. A few days ago, Lord Alfreya was influenced by Ryder to attack and imprison the great elven elder Mary. Back then, Mary's subordinate, Raren, managed to escape, but she fell from the celestial palace in the clouds and took some damage. When she recovered, her people wanted to know what had happened, so she told them to summon all the elves, dwarves, and fairies from the celestial race to fill them in on what was going on. She was then asked about the captured humans in their custody, and though it surprised her, she thought about using them as leverage. The following day, Jean and her men swarmed the elven forest because she hadn't heard from Dante's men since the previous night. Kai believed someone had pushed Dante to invade the forest with his men, and the only person on his mind was Kobari. Hearing this, Jean decided to lead an op to investigate the woods and see things for herself. While at it, she saw elven traps everywhere and realized that Dante's men must have fallen for them. Rinny picked up an elven scent and tried to follow it, but as they went deeper into the woods, they activated an elven magical gate that teleported them deep into elven territory. There, they saw a fairy playing around, but the fairy ran away when she realized she was surrounded by humans because she thought they would eat her or something. Shocked, Kai followed behind her, only to be surrounded by armed elves when he reached the other side. As his team wondered what to do next, Kobari showed up and confirmed that she was an elven spy. Curious, Jean asked about Dante's men, so she was told they were still alive, only that they were paralyzed hostages. She then proposed a deal to release them under the condition that Jean's team fought the angels. Hearing this, Kai was shocked because he thought dwarves and angels were on good terms since they were all from the celestial race. However, Kobari told him the angels had started the conflict, and she led his team to Raren so she could explain better. Raren received Jean's team and immediately noticed that Jean wore an elven garment underneath her armor. She then asked how she got it, and after Jean explained that she had seized it from a demon she had defeated, she let it slide because it was forbidden for humans to wield their magical items. After that, Raren proposed a contract to Jean, offering to release the hostages if her team rescued the elven great elder from Lord Alfreya. Shocked, Kai asked why Alfreya, who was the hero of the Celestials, would capture the elven great elder, so Raren revealed that Alfreya had changed. Before then, Alfreya had been a good hero who cared for the Celestials, but had changed all of a sudden and demanded that the Celestials be subservient to angels. Since Raren and Elder Mary didn't like this, they went up to the Heavenly Palace to settle things with Alfreya, but they were attacked instead, and that was how Mary was imprisoned. Hearing this, Kai understood why Raren wanted humans to fight for her race, but Fallon didn't trust her because she felt there was a trap. She requested something that would prove their innocence, so Kobari volunteered to follow her, insisting on laying down her life if things went south. Still, Fallon wasn't comfortable with this because she believed Kobari's life wasn't enough to pay for her teams in case they all died, so Raren decided to take her place instead. Seeing this, Kobairi became uncomfortable, but Raren told her she had to do it because her race was on the verge of a civil war if nothing happened. At night, while everyone was asleep, Kai stayed up to keep watch, so Raren decided to talk to him. First, she confirmed if Kai was the one who defeated Vanessa and asked to know if his sword would work on Alfreya. Hearing this, Kai got the memo that rescuing Mary meant fighting against Alfreya. As he thought about it, Raren told him she wouldn't let him leave the elven forest alive if he decided to chicken out of their contract. Kai said he knew already and then went on to ask her if she knew Sid. From her expression, he could tell she didn't know anything, so he realized the only person who would know was Alfreya himself and looked forward to confronting him. The following day, Raren led Jean and her team to a tree that led directly to the Angel Palace. There, she activated an enchanted gate that teleported them to the Angel Palace, but she was shocked when she got there and saw a bunch of angels lying weak on the floor. As she wondered what had happened, she led the way to another gate and took the team to a higher floor. A few floors later, an angel named Viscus shot a gust of wind at them, but they reacted swiftly to avoid falling to their deaths. Viscus was a bit disappointed when she saw that Raren was the one who led Jean's team to the palace. And since Raren was an elf, Viscus told her that her ears were so big that they could hear colors in 4-key. She went on to announce herself as a loyal servant of Lord Alfreya, insisting that she would do anything he wanted, even if it meant calling him daddy and wiping out a ton of angels who didn't respect his authority. She revealed that Elder Mary was going to be executed soon and mentioned that it would serve as a warning message to Celestials that they were all inferior to angels. After that, she tried to land a surprise attack on Jean's team, but Fallon reacted swiftly and blocked it. While it went down, Ash and Saki opened fire on Viscus, and they bought the others enough time to proceed to a higher level of the palace. Getting there, Raffaello, another angel, attempted a surprise attack on Raren, but Jean stepped in on time and blocked it. She stayed back to fight and promised to join Kai later when she was done beating Raffaello up, so Kai agreed and went up with Raren and Jean. As they got there, Raren saw Mary trapped in a crystal prison and called out to her, but Alfreya answered and questioned why she had chosen to disobey him. He believed that all the blessings of the world were meant for angels alone and that everyone else was trash. Back in the battle against Viscus, Fallon managed to hold her own against the angel thanks to the flaming sword she had gotten from a mythical beast. Viscus noticed the sword's power and mentioned that the celestial race was skilled in creating such magical items, but Fallon wondered why she was running her mouth when no one had asked her to speak. She questioned why Alfreya had turned against the same celestial race he was part of, but Viscus claimed it wasn't something a normal human could fathom. Above them, Rinny was breathing heavily because she was a bit tired from all that fighting with Raffaello. As the smoke cleared out, she noticed that she hadn't dealt enough damage to Raffaello and got pissed when she realized that Raffaello had been taking it easy with her. Above them, Alfreya announced that he wanted to execute Mary, but after he said that, Raren told him he had no right to lead the Celestials. Pissed, she charged at him, swearing to unalive him. But she noticed a bit too late that Alfreya had already prepared a surprise attack for her. In a split second, Kai activated the powers of his sword and saved Raren's life, making Alfreya wonder if he was an elf pretending to be human. When Kai mentioned that he was human, Alfreya became confused and asked why he would defend an elf, so Kai told him he had a contract with Raren, which would go sideways if she lost her life. After that, Alfreya noticed Kai's glowing weapon and asked about it, so Kai told him it was what he had used to defeat Vanessa and even bragged that it had the power to defeat Alfreya. Hearing this, Alfreya laughed and mocked Vanessa for losing to a human, but Kai compared him to her and said that, unlike him, Vanessa wasn't trying to unalive her subordinates. To this, Alfreya mentioned that his actions were justified because he felt better than everyone, and he didn't feel the need to have any subordinate who thought otherwise. While he was talking, Jean readied an enchanted arrow and shot it at him, and even though he managed to block, it dealt some damage to him. That was when he realized that Jean was using an elven bow, and it dawned on him that she was sacrificing her life force to wield such power. So when he called her out on it, Kai was shocked because he hadn't known, but Jean said she didn't care because the only thing on her mind was taking down Alfreya. She then drew her bow again, but as she was about to shoot, Alfreya shot her with an overwhelming energy blast that caused an explosion. As the smoke cleared out, Alfreya was shocked to see that she was still standing, and that was when he realized she had an elven garment underneath her armor. He found it irritating that a human could use items built by members of his race and decided to finish her and her team off with a lightning strike. But when he did, Raren erected a powerful barrier that protected her team, and she went on to release Mary from her prison. On the way, Alfreya noticed and shot an enchanted spear at her, but Kai arrived and blocked it before it could pierce her chest. He gave Raren the opening she needed to break Mary from her prison, but when it was time to get her out, his weapon shattered on the crystal prison. Shocked, Raren wondered how Alfreya could imprison someone as powerful as Mary and still use so much magic to fight. As she thought things through, she assumed he had gotten some sort of power that had caused him to change. However, Alfreya revealed his new subordinate, and when everyone saw that it was Ryder, they were left speechless. Below that floor, Rini was finding it hard to finish Raffaello off because he was just too cracked in combat. Raffaello hit a nerve when he pounded her with his hammer, so she returned the favor with a lightning-infused punch that shattered his armor upon contact. Below that floor, Fallon was still in a fight against Viscus, and she had support from Ash and Saki to keep up with the angel's speed. At some point, Viscus fell victim to a trap set by Fallon, and she stopped fighting when she knew she was had. At the same time, Raffaello gave up on fighting against Rini and told her to join her mates because he had always wanted someone to stand up to Alfreya. Viscus said the same thing to Fallon when she accepted defeat and begged her to apologize to the injured angels, but Fallon refused and decided to spare her life since she hadn't taken their fight seriously. Back on the top floor, Alfreya ordered Ryder to unalive everyone, so Ryder attempted a magical attack that sent Jean flying into the sky. To her luck, Rini showed up and caught her, but when she shot Ryder with an arrow, she grew disappointed because it dealt no damage. A while later, Kai confronted Alfreya and asked if he was the one behind the world's reincarnation, but Alfreya said he didn't know anything about that. Kai then asked him if he knew about Sid, and noticed that Alfreya was having a headache when he tried to remember who Sid was. To everyone's shock, Ryder attacked him and called him an anomaly for mentioning the name Sid. She activated the Zero Code, and everyone watched as he was erased from existence. After that, Ryder opened a portal and left the palace, making Kai wonder if the fight was over. As he jinxed it, another portal opened in the sky, and Alfreya showed up looking different. His voice had changed as he mentioned that he was Alfreya's avatar, and as he downloaded his memories, Kai figured out that the same system override had been used back in his reality. Before he knew it, Alfreya channeled a huge amount of magical energy and landed a nasty attack on Rini. Though she managed to block it for a while, the energy blast grew too powerful, and it caused everyone to fall to the ground. Seeing this, Raren was shocked because Alfreya had just channeled magic without using his magic items. She then yelled at him to snap out of it because he was draining his life force as he was using that forbidden magic. However, Alfreya replied with a long-range energy blast that shattered almost all the defensive walls she had erected. When he saw that, he charged at Raren to finish her in one strike, and he ended up shattering all her defensive walls in one sweep. It shocked her that Alfreya could stab her, and she got lucky when Alfreya wanted to finish the job because Kai was there to save her. While Kai held Alfreya off, he told him to snap out of it because Raren had always looked up to him. But when Alfreya refused and called Raren a weakling, Kai decided that he was going to beat some sense into him. While they clashed swords, Kai noticed that Alfreya's weapon kept regenerating when it got damaged, and he figured it was what helped him nullify Raren's barriers. He confronted Alfreya about it, and the angel ended up boasting that mere magical items couldn't stop his power. To show that he meant business, he tossed aside his magical items and channeled a huge chunk of magic into his sword to fight Kai. During the fight, Alfreya focused on heavy strikes, so Kai took advantage of it and responded with speed attacks. When Alfreya noticed, he abandoned his weapon and activated a spell that made the angel palace collapse gradually. Seeing this, Raren got pissed and decided to infuse her magic into Jean's bow while Kai kept Alfreya distracted. Once Jean's bow was all charged up with magic, she took a shot at Alfreya that dealt heavy damage to him. As Alfreya tried to recover, Kai took advantage of an opening and landed a brutal punch on his weak side, which caused him to expel all the forbidden magic in his body. While on the floor, Alfreya started to regret all that he had done, and since the palace was bound to fall, he told everyone to run for their lives. Still, Raren held on to him, and he told her that he didn't deserve to be adored by someone like her. As he grew weak, the magic that had kept Mary bound to her prison depleted, and she was set free. Meanwhile, Alfreya revealed that he had received something from Sid in the past, because back then, Sid had told him about something that existed when it wasn't supposed to exist. Hearing this, Kai got confused and asked Alfreya to explain what he meant, so he told him the cause of the world's reincarnation was hatred. By this time, the damage to Alfreya's body had worsened, and since he was fading away, he told Kay to eliminate the hatred that lurked in the world. As he faded away, Mary used her powers to preserve what was left of the palace from falling to the ground, while Raffaello apologized for all the damage he had caused. He mentioned that the angels were powerless against Alfreya, which was why they couldn't do anything but obey him. Hearing this, Kai curiously asked to confirm if Alfreya had changed only when he started talking to Ryder, so when Raffaello said yes, Kai wondered why Ryder had attacked Alfreya since they were supposed to be buddies. He recalled that Rinny had been attacked too and started asking himself if she would be attacked again. Later that day, Rinny had a dream about Ryder, where Sid tried to help her escape. When she woke up, she was scared, so she hugged him and wanted to squat on his sausage to feel better, but Jean entered and ruined everything. Apparently, she saw Rinny's wings and wanted to know the truth about her, so when she asked, Rinny opened up to her about not being human or from any of the other races. Kai then apologized to Jean for keeping everything a secret and mentioned that he had only done it to protect Rinny. The following day, Jean and her men appeared before the celestial leaders to agree on a ceasefire between themselves. Mary proposed that no human would be allowed into the elven forest for a year, and she said the same thing about her people entering human cities. Jean agreed to it and promised to make the EO Federation abide by it. Before their meeting ended, Mary gave Jean's team a box of gifts, which included Jean's repaired elven weapon and magic-infused bullets for Kai. Kai was shocked when he got them, while Raren bragged that she was the one behind it because she knew he used bullets like that in combat. Kai thanked her for it, but Mary told him it meant nothing because he had helped to defeat Alfreya and prevent their race from plunging into a full-blown civil war. Curious, she asked Jean if she was going after the spirit race next, but Jean refused to mention any details of her plan for safety reasons. Regardless, Mary reminded her she'd need to pass through the celestial forest and fields to get going and suggested giving her a guide to make her trip smooth. Hearing this, Jean spotted that there was an ulterior motive to the offer, so she asked Mary about her true intentions. Mary told her she only wanted to know what had happened to Alfreya and mentioned that he had started acting strangely when he confronted an intruder. About 10 years ago. Back then, it was the hero of the mythical beasts, Wrath, who met him, and Raffaello confirmed this because he had seen them together. He said Alfreya had spoken with Wrath for hours, and from the nature of their conversation, it felt as if they were colluding and conspiring about something. He also said Ryder showed up for the first time in the celestial forest around the time Alfreya had started seeing Wrath on the side. Hearing this, Jean realized Mary and the other Celestials just wanted to know the truth about Alfreya and his connection to Wrath and Ryder. To finalize their deal, Mary appointed Raren as Jean's team guide, and her reason was that she had noticed Raren's recent attachment to Kai. When she said this, Rinny got jealous and pointed fingers at Raren, suspecting she wanted to sway Kai with her throat game, but Raren claimed she wasn't interested. That evening, Jean and her team returned to the AO military base and informed Zeph about the truce with the Celestials. Jean then thanked Dan for providing her team with military supplies, but he told her to cut it because he knew she was trying to sugarcoat the nonsense he had pulled the previous day. Concerned, he thought about everything and told Jean she'd need to change her battle tactics because the other two races would see her as a threat for winning over the demons and Celestials so easily. To counter that, he felt that human collaboration was indeed important, so he suggested that Jean meet Balmung, the Yulin military commander who was dealing with the spirit race, and form an alliance with him. Hearing this, Jean realized that all those McDonald's he was eating didn't affect his brain, so she commended his foresight and told him to flush his ego down the toilet every once in a while. Elsewhere, Kyoko, the hero of the spirits, met with Wrath, who was faking concern about the other heroes who had passed. Kyoko saw through it and told her to reveal her intentions, so Wrath threatened her, promising to wipe out all spirits from the planet. When they started fighting, Wrath showed tremendous power, tossing Kyoko across the forest, but Kyoko later countered her with her universal mirroring attack, which changed the dynamics immediately. Despite trying her best to fight back, Wrath ended up sandwiched to the ground. Trying to take advantage of the opportunity, Kyoko charged at her to finish the job, but she was countered by Ryder, who suddenly appeared and took her out. Kai and the other surviving members of Jean's force regrouped and headed through a narrow, uneven trail in the forest to the Yulin Federation under Raren's directions. Saki worried that Raren wasn't being careful enough and that her carelessness would cause a scene if the others noticed she wasn't human, but Raren told them not to worry because her garment could fool people into thinking she was a harmless human. Realizing that they still had about 3 days to get to their destination, the group decided it'd be best to find somewhere to set up camp, so they headed toward a spring about 12 hours away from their current location. On the way to the spring, Fallon pointed out to Jean some unusual bite marks she had noticed on a few trees, which could only have been caused by a mythical beast. Although they were in the AO Federation, which was supposed to be safe, they realized that they might have to prepare for the worst. At the scene of the battle, Wrath, surprised that Kyoko had been taken down so easily, wondered if she was really gone, or if she had just escaped with her core into a nearby river. She, however, concluded that whichever kind of exit Kyoko took, they'd be meeting again soon. At the healing springs where Jean's forces arrived, they set up their tents and tried to get some rest, while the others headed straight for the springs. Rinny felt weird being allowed into the springs before most of the other girls, but Jean assured her that she had earned it since she also aided in defeating the hero of the Celestials. A while later, Raren and Rinny got into a quick argument because Rinny's milkers were giggity, and it made her look like a succubus. While Rinny defended herself, she noticed that Raren was a flat board and called her out on it. But Raren told her she liked being flat, because flatter meant she could be flipped and tied up by Kai in any position. However, Jean got tired of their petty whines and told them about her discussion with Kai regarding world reincarnation and the code holder. Kai had told her how clueless he was about the topic, leading her to conclude that his weapon must have been made by some higher beings. She tried to make him aware of the dangers entailed if he kept using it, but it only made him redirect the concerns back to her. Similarly, she had also refused to stop sacrificing her life by using elf items. Their conversation quickly spiraled to Ryder, who was starting to become more of a threat than ever. Together, they brainstormed about where it could have come from, because Kai clearly stated that there had never been any record of it back in his world. They ended up assuming that it probably just existed as a spectator to the heroes, and what triggered it to switch from monitoring to assault mode was probably Sid, who didn't exist in their current world. Wondering what kind of relationship Ryder had with the other heroes, they both concluded that they had to keep facing it to end the Great War of the Five Races. Jean's revelation enlightened the girls to the fact that they now had to be wary of Ryder whenever they fought a hero. Suddenly, they felt an earthquake in the ground, so some soldiers mobilized and found out that it was a mythical beast that attacked. Immediately, Fallon and Kai joined the soldiers to take out the beast, and while they were at it, they noticed it possessed a certain level of battle intelligence, making it tougher than the mythical beasts they were used to fighting. As a result, they used a stun grenade to confuse the beast and then commanded their men to retreat. After their temporary retreat, the group decided to ambush the monster and take it down for good this time. Catching up to it, they surrounded the creature and began carrying out coordinated attacks aimed at destroying its atrophied magic organ located on its forehead. Everything went according to plan for a while until the monster sensed Rinny's unique aura and tried to attack her. Kai intercepted the strike, risking his life in the process to save her. Raren then used her magic circle to teleport it to the Purgatory Flower Garden, where it was burned to ashes. Kai had been severely injured while trying to protect Rinny, so the team immediately patched him up and rushed him to safety. Later, in the tent where he and the rest of the girls had fallen asleep, he heard a voice calling out to him from a dream. When he woke up, he realized that Rinny and Jean had also heard it. Together with Raren, they headed toward a building deep in the woods where they felt the voice calling from. When they arrived at the front of the structure, the voice called out to them again, telling them that they had found the center of the world and urging them to proceed inside. At the front of the old building, the voice told them not to be afraid, and that only those who had been chosen by fate would be welcomed in. Given that Raren was the only one who didn't hear the voice, Kai ordered her to stand guard outside, just to be safe, while the others proceeded into the building. On their way in, Kai remarked on the similarity the passageway bore to the graveyard, and Rinny also pointed out the strong energy wave she felt coming from within. She stated that although it seemed similar to magic, she was sure it wasn't. After walking for a while, they noticed a light toward the end of the passageway and advanced toward it. Entering the room the light led them to, they heard the voice again, but saw nobody around. Confused, they asked where it was coming from, and it directed their attention to a huge statue in the center of the room. They panicked, but the voice told them they had no need to be afraid of it, since it was clearly powerless already. It introduced itself as an existence from the world where the Great War of the Five Races had ended and told them it had been waiting for the moment when someone eligible enough to take Sid's place in the new world would come visiting. Kai was shocked to learn that the being knew Sid. It even responded that if he looked closely enough, he would be able to figure out where it was from. After looking closer for a while, Kai identified the statue as the prophetic god from his other world, which humans prayed to in order to see into their future. Apparently, Arsala Solaka, the being, was the one who gave Sid the prophecy and the shining sword he had used to defeat the four heroes and end the Great War of the Five Races in the other world. The deity revealed that humans had always worshipped it over the years, and that was why it created the code holder to protect humanity when the Great War broke out. The deity also revealed that it was glad Kai was the one who had found the code holder, and that it had been the one guiding him ever since then. It shared that it had used all its power to create the code holder, and that it had been in such a miserable state, unable to stop the world's reincarnation that erased Sid's presence. However, the deity bestowed a prophecy upon Jean and appointed her as a prophet to take Sid's place and become the hero for humanity in their world. Jean was shocked as to why she had been chosen to be the hero, and the deity responded that although it had examined a few other worthy candidates, including Kai, she was the one who was fit enough. Bothered, she asked what the fate of the world would be if she finally managed to defeat all the heroes of the other 4 clans, as well as Ryder, and the being answered that it would depend on the extent of the erosion caused by the world's reincarnation afterward. On their way out of the building, Rinny shared her concern about not knowing if they could trust the being, but Kai assured her that since it was the one that had created the code holder, then it definitely wasn't their foe. Outside the building, the trio linked back up with Raren, who had been waiting forever. Raren tried to find out what took them so long, but Jean only told her they met a stone statue, leaving out the detail where she had been appointed as a prophet. Since she belonged to another race, Jean couldn't risk her gaining important intel on humans about the Great War. While they traced their steps back to the camp, Kai assured Jean that he would do everything in his power to support and stand by her through the war to ensure that humans won. Jean pointed out that the prophecy didn't really matter to her, and that she would just ensure they did what they had to do. Amazed by her words, Kai told her that she was just as rigid even in his other world, and that was something he really liked about her. Probing him about the type of relationship they had in the other world, Kai told her that they were good friends who grew up together and became homies. She asked if he would also like to be her homeboy in this world as well, and he agreed. After they regrouped with the rest of the team, they continued their journey toward the Yulin Federation. Inside the moving vehicle, Raren tried to give Kai some medicine she made from rotten strawberries, but Rinny objected, claiming that she wouldn't let him drink something she knew would taste no better than tonic water. Rinny made her drink it to prove it, but Raren almost passed out from the dosage of her own potion. Still, she insisted that it would help heal Kai's injuries faster. During their argument, they sighted a structure that resembled a graveyard in the distance. As they stepped out of their vehicles to scout the area, they ran into a bunch of spirits that surrounded them and started attacking. Although the attack power of the spirits was low compared to other monsters, they proved to be formidable opponents as they kept multiplying, forcing the forces onto the defensive. Suddenly, Lord Balman arrived with his troops and attacked the spirits, clearing the path for Jean and her forces. Little did they know that the spirit monsters had converged into a single huge form. While both troops tried to catch up, the monster made a move again, this time trying to engulf them all as it formed a barrier over them. Kai and the rest tried to blast their way out, but the monster kept regenerating, keeping them trapped within. Just then, Kai got an idea and loaded his gun with a special dwarven-made sacred light bullet, which he fired at the monster. The bullet cleared a path that they all used to escape. Balming led the team to a suspicious-looking lake in the area, which he revealed he had come to investigate since it had just appeared there all of a sudden. Taking a look at it, Rinny told them it wasn't a lake but a spirit, and it shocked everyone when the lake transformed into Kyoko. Kyoko attacked them with her universal mirroring skill, and it left everyone shocked because of how powerful she was. Kai managed to slash her with his weapon, while Balmung and his squad used their fire attacks to demobilize her. Even after that, Kyoko gave them the middle finger and landed a nasty attack on them as if what they did was nothing. Kai managed to block the attack with his weapon, and it made Kyoko realize that he was wielding the code holder. Curious, she questioned him about it, and the fact that she could speak human language shocked everyone because it was believed spirits were incapable of speaking. Meanwhile, Ryder got notified about Kyoko, who had just made contact with Kai, and while Kyoko talked about how similar Kai was to Sid, Ryder appeared through a portal and tried to wipe Kyoko from existence. However, Kyoko proved impossible to defeat as she split herself into multiple pieces and attacked Ryder. The attack dealt so much damage to Ryder that she was forced to retreat to recover. In her absence, Kyoko proposed a temporary truce with Jean's team because she wanted to rest, but Balming got offended and asked if she was taking his military unit for a joke. He reminded her that she was the one who attacked first without warning, and that she was a mindless goat for running away. However, Kyoko told him she had no choice but to fight because she thought they had come to attack her while she was recovering. After Kai heard this, he became curious and wondered what could have put someone like her in a weak state. So Kyoko revealed that she had fought Wrath earlier and mentioned Ryder's involvement in it. She told everyone that the 5 races only wanted to protect their kind, but Ryder, who belonged to no race, existed only to cause danger to the world. She then revealed her intentions of checking out the graveyard she was once locked in, but the issue was that she didn't know how to get in. Kai, who had been in a graveyard before, agreed to take her, and both sides decided to travel together. Getting there, they found out that as they went further, the building looked unsettling because the walls were covered in strange markings that glowed faintly. As time passed, they reached the central hall, where Kai's weapon began to glow. After that, a faint sound came from it, and everyone was shocked when they learned that it was Sid's voice. Sid apologized for not being able to save Rini back in his world, but begged Kai not to make the same mistake he had made. Right after that, a bright light shone from Kai's weapon and hit the ceiling, and before anyone could move, they were transported to an astral plane. There, Rini led them forward, claiming that she could sense a large amount of magical energy not too far away. As everyone followed her, they met a petrified Alfreya, and it didn't take long for Ryder to appear and accuse them of trespassing. She carried out a quick sorting analysis and decided to terminate the people who responded to the taboo word, Sid, and sent Jean, Farron, Raren, and Balming back to their reality, leaving Kai, Rini, and Kyoko behind. Outside the graveyard, Jean complained about not being able to fight beside Kai and decided that she was going back into the building, hoping to sacrifice more of her life force for the elf's power. But Raren and Balming stopped her and told her she'd just get pumped and clapped by Ryder. They insisted that they needed a plan, but while they came up with ideas, Ryder attacked the people back in the astral plane, and though Kyoko tried her best to solo her, she realized Ryder was on a greater level of power than she was. Ryder kept attacking her and the others, but Kai managed to block her attacks while shielding Rini, who was too much of a chicken to fight. As a result, Kyoko met her and took a bit of her magical power to get strong enough to land a nasty attack on Ryder. When it hit, Kyoko realized that no matter how many times Ryder got knocked down, she would just keep regenerating since they were in her domain. So she devised a plan with Kai to lure Ryder out of the astral plane. Kyoko used her powers to snatch Alfreya's petrified body, while Kai created an exit portal with his sword. Since Alfreya's body was important to Ryder, she charged at Kai's side to stop them. But as she passed through the portal, Kai and Kyoko teamed up and landed nasty strikes, which caused Ryder to fade away. Meanwhile, at Yulin's military camp, Raren forged a weapon that she believed would be effective against Ryder since normal conventional weapons didn't work on it. Within the graveyard, Ryder, who had clearly just been booted out, pulled up again through the portal Kai left open. This time, Ryder possessed more power and bloodlust and introduced herself as Ryder Aspect 2, telling everyone to get ready to get clapped hard. This time, she looked pissed, and when Rini saw her face, she got scared and realized that all those dreams she had about Sid were memories of her past. It turned out Sid had only been trying to protect her from Ryder in the astral plane, but even when he fought with the legendary code holder, he wasn't strong enough to prevent Rini from getting captured. As Rini told Kai about this, he promised to protect her till his last breath. In the meantime, Asla felt sorry about the way Sid passed, because she was the one who chose him, and she felt that Kai was carrying the fate of the world on his shoulders. Back at the tomb, Ryder attacked Kai, so while Ryder was distracted with him, Kyoko took the opportunity to attempt a deadly strike on her, but she failed, because the magical barrier around Ryder canceled everything out. As a result, Ryder took the opportunity to place her in an enchanted cage and tried to wipe her from existence, but Kyoko activated a skill that countered it, which led to an explosion. The impact pushed Alfreya's petrified body outside, so Jean saw it and dashed into the tomb to figure out what was going on. In the meantime, Kai regained consciousness and was quite relieved that Kyoko went all out on Ryder, but all that happiness went down the toilet when he saw that Ryder was still alive and kicking. To his shock, Ryder regenerated her damaged parts and sped off with Rini before he could blink. Outside, Ryder tried to execute the Zero Code and wipe Rini from existence, but the fear of losing Kai and his 9-incher made her repel Ryder's magic with lightning. As she fell to the ground, Kai stepped in immediately to prevent her from getting tied up and clapped from existence, and even with help from Balming and Fallon, he failed to land a good hit. On Balming's signal, the soldiers surrounding the tomb rained bullets on Ryder, while Jean prepared to shoot an arrow infused with Raren's magic. She gave Ryder a nice headshot, and before Ryder could pull the arrow out, it exploded and she fell to the ground. Kai thought that everything was over, and he didn't read any meaning to Ryder's last words before her body gave out, or so he thought. Suddenly, a portal opened, and it triggered another world reincarnation event. While Kai was barely trying to withstand the shockwave, Ryder summoned a dark version of Sid from the portal, leaving Kai completely shocked. In the meantime, Wrath saw that two realities were about to collide, but she vowed to make sure her people survived no matter what. Back at the fields, Ryder became one with Sid, and it triggered Kai to attack because he was fed up with her already, Rini joined the fight too, but while she attempted a lightning strike on Sid, he opened a portal and sucked her in. Pissed, Kai charged at him with multiple strikes to try and beat him into releasing Rini, but he ended up getting countered and tossed away like trash. As he recovered, he looked at Sid and flashed back to a time when he was constantly training in his military unit. Jean wondered why he pushed himself so hard and thought he wanted to be a hero or something, but he told her it wasn't what he wanted. To him, Sid was humanity's hero, and since the Sid he saw before him was a fake, he picked up his weapon one more time to fight. In a single slash, he tore a rift in reality itself, which allowed Rini to escape from the astral plane to help him. In mid-air, Kai took a shot at Sid with a bullet that shattered his weapon, then charged at him to fight hand-to-hand. While it went down, Rini picked up Kai's sword and gave it to him so he could use it to finish Sid off. He felt the surge of magical energy rising within him. So he sliced off Sid's arm and struck him with a fatal attack that wiped him from existence. Since the portal that triggered the world reincarnation event was still active, Rini flew toward it to end things herself, and Kai yelled at her to come back because he thought she wouldn't make it. Regardless, she flew away, and her magic caused Kai to see memories of himself from his previous reality. When he woke up, Rini was excited to see that he was alive, so she hugged him. She then opened up to him about her feelings and told him she wanted to be more than friends with all the benefits. Hearing this, Kai realized she was bound to get pregnant in the next 2 minutes. But before he could smash, Jean entered the room with Raren and ruined everything. Jean didn't hesitate to toss Rini aside because she didn't want to miss the chance of making little ones with Kai, but Raren wanted the same thing too. She was concerned about Kai because he had been out cold for 3 days since he defeated Ryder. Though shocked, Kai was glad that everything worked out, but he wondered when he went from being an ordinary soldier to a Giga Chad whom 3 of the baddest chicks wanted to have offsprings with. A few plotful hours later, everyone gathered at the Yulin spirit graveyard, and it appeared that Alfreya was placed there for safekeeping. Kyoko looked very much alive, though she looked tiny as she sat on Balmung's shoulder because of all the magic she had used in her last fight. When Balmung made fun of her size, she told him that, though she was that small, he still wouldn't fit. Hearing this, Balmung got pissed, but Raren warned him against doing anything stupid because one wrong move and Alfreya's petrified body would be toast. A while later, Kai joined Rini to see the sunset, and he couldn't help but notice that Alfreya's petrified body was the same as Asla's. At the same time, Asla's body started withering away, and while it happened, she realized that the world's reincarnation would continue and wondered if Kai and Rini would keep resisting their fate. However, Kai promised to always be by Rini's side and protect her no matter what. And all lived happily ever after, or so we thought. The end. That's the end of today's video. If you stayed until now, comment down below on who was more giggity between Rini and Gina. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want me to post unplotted. But don't forget to check out the next video with lots of hand lotion. It might just be your new favorite anime recap. Stay focused, peace.